Hi, this is CJ. Welcome to another ASI training video. Today we'll be looking at focal point, and specifically we'll be looking at the device manager. The device manager is the portion of the program where you would recognize a new controller and add it into the software. So let's begin by clicking on the icon for device manager. And in this case, since we've configured a controller to be looking back at this computer, if we go to unconfigured controllers, we'll see one item listed there, and that's our controller. It shows it by MAC address. We'll double click on that, and another screen pops up that gives us the option to configure some of the settings. The first thing we'll do is assign it to a zone. If you've got more than one zone, this is where you would select multiple zones. In my case, I've just got one zone, which is the default zone, so I'm going to leave it there. The location is a text description. By default, it shows the MAC address, and we can simply blank that out and input something new that is descriptive of what the controller controls. It could be front door, office door, lobby door, etc. And I'm just going to call this the shop door. And that's just a text description. By default, the controller is enabled. If you're going to be using the controller immediately, make sure that that button is checked. You don't need to touch anything with the MAC address or the IP address. On the far right, where it says select time zone, enter the proper time zone for the area that you're in. In my case, I'm in Central time zone. The other information here you shouldn't have to adjust. Initialize interface, detect interfaces would only be a case where you're having some kind of problem connecting to the device. But at this point, our device is already online, so we know that we've got a connection to it. So we're just going to go ahead and click on Save. And it gives us a little warning telling us that it'll take a few minutes for it to come back online. We'll hit OK. And now if we go to the Configured Controllers tab in the Device Manager, we see that our door, which we call the shop door, is showing up. And if we click on the plus sign to the next of it, we've got a device, which is the main interface inside the controller. We've got two input points, which are labeled I. We've got one output point. And all of these can be configured. We can right-click on the device, and if we want to, we can just give it the same name as the controller, because this device actually is going to be controlling the shop door. We can configure the unlock and the shunt time for the door. The default is 3 and 6 seconds. We're using this in card-only mode. If you're using card and pin, or card or pin, you can select that here. This is the pin size of the, if you're using a keypad, you can switch this from 4 digits, 5 digits, and up, depending on how many keystrokes you want somebody to enter for a pin number. The other things, these are advanced properties. Most of these things are things that you don't need to adjust. You can change how the Rex behaves when there's a request to exit. You can either have the Rex unlock the door or not unlock the door. And this just gives you a live reading of how the inputs are reporting currently. But at this point, the controller, if we go to the transaction monitor, the controller is actually in a state where it's downloading to the controller, and it's actually setting some parameters. And this is going to take a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until this is done, and I'll be back in just a second. Hi, welcome back. Let's just take a look at the transaction monitor screen. As we can see, it's downloaded everything to the controller, and at the very bottom here it says initial provision completed. So that means at this point the controller is ready. It's got the database in it, and if we've got any card holders or any access assignments, we should be able to swipe at that controller and it should unlock the door, assuming that we've wired everything correctly.